an opinion, but there are some players who seem to sort of pick up an extra gear or don't slow down when they dribble. Here comes Kwame bringing the ball up on the right. Nigeria looking to create some danger. It's a goal! Goal for Ideye Brown. So the first goal of the match, 4th minute of the second half for Nigeria.
And the play starts with a cross from right back, Salomon Kwame, number 5, and up the middle, right in front of the goalkeeper, Daniel Hernandez, number 8, Brown. Ideye, who plays for Dynamo Kiev, scores the first goal of the match. His first goal here at Marlin Park, Kevin.
He cuts inside the defender, reaching the ball. Kwame leaving number 21 behind. Alex Gonzalez couldn't stay with him. And even though he struck it with the foot.
The Africa Cup of Nations was first held in 1957. Since 1968, it has been held every 2 years. As a matter of policy, the title holders at the time of a FIFA Confederations Cup qualify for the competition. In 1957, there were only 3 participating countries: Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. At that time, South Africa were originally scheduled to compete, but were disqualified on account of the apartheid policies of the government in power during that period. The number of participants in the final tournament reached 16 in 1998. 16 teams were to compete in 1996, but Nigeria withdrew, reducing the number to 15. Since then, the format has been adhered to, with the 16 teams drawn into 4 groups of 4 teams each, with the 2 top teams of each group advancing to the knockout and final stage. Egypt, which incidentally were eliminated from this year's Nations Cup tournament, is the most successful country in the African Nations Cup history, winning the tournament record 7 times, including when Egypt was known as the United Arab Republic between 1958 and 1971. Ghana and Cameroon have won the Nations Cup 4 times each. 3 different trophies have been awarded during the tournament's history, with Ghana and Cameroon winning the first 2 versions for keeps, after each of the 2 countries have won the tournament 3 times. The current African Nations Cup trophy, being competed for in South Africa, was first awarded in 2002, with Egypt winning it indefinitely after their unprecedented 3rd consecutive title in 2010. Beginning from this year's competition, the African Nations Cup will be held in odd-numbered years, so that the tournament does not clash with the FIFA World Cup calendar. This means that the African Nations Cup will not take place in the same year as the World Cup. This also means that there will be 2 tournaments within 12 months, in January 2012, co-hosted by Gabon and Equatorial Guinea, and January 2013, now being hosted by South Africa. Morocco won the bid to host the 2015 edition of the African Nations Cup on the 29th of January 2011. However, Libya and South Africa traded years, with South Africa hosting the current edition, while Libya opted to host the 2017 edition as a result of the ongoing political problem in the country, which came to a head in 2011. Throughout the history of the African Nations Cup, 3 different trophies have been awarded to the winners of the competition. The original trophy, made of silver, was the Abdulaziz Abdallah Salem Trophy, named after the first CAF president, Egypt's Abdulaziz Abdallah Salem. For winning 3 Nations Cup tournaments, Ghana obtained the right to permanently keep the trophy in 1978. The second trophy was awarded from 1980 to 2000, and it was named Trophy of African Unity, or African Unity Cup. This was given by the Supreme Council for Sports in Africa to the Confederation of African Football, CAF, before the 1980 tournament, which Nigeria won. The trophy had Olympic rings over a map of the continent engraved on it. Cameroon won the Unity Cup indefinitely after they became 3-time champions in 2000. In the year 2001, the third African Nations Cup was unveiled, a gold-plated cup designed and made in Italy. Cameroon, the permanent holders of the previous trophy, were the first nation to be awarded the new trophy after they had won the 2002 edition. Egypt won the gold-plated cup indefinitely after they became three-time champions in 2010 by winning 3 consecutive continental titles, a feat considered unprecedented by African standards. The 29th edition of the African Nations Cup, currently going on in South Africa, will be held between January 19th to February 10, 2013. The winner of the tournament will qualify for the 2013 FIFA Confederation Cup in Brazil as CAF's representative. A total of 47 countries entered for the qualification of the 2013 African Nations Cup. These included host South Africa, which automatically qualified. Many teams made their return to the Nations Cup this year. Host South Africa are making a return after a 4-year absence. Ethiopia are appearing at the Nations Cup for the first time since 1982, a 31-year absence. Other teams absent from the 2012 Nations Cup finals appearing this year are Nigeria, Togo, DR Congo, Algeria, Cape Verde, who are making their finals debut. Teams that didn't qualify for the 2013 tournament who participated in the 2012 edition were co-hosts Gabon and Equatorial Guinea, Libya, Senegal, Sudan, Guinea, and Botswana. South Sudan couldn't be admitted to participate because the Nations Cup qualifying competition had already started by the time their membership of CAF, Confederation of African Football, was confirmed. A genuine and unbiased appraisal of the 2013 African Nations Cup competition being hosted by South Africa, a country whose people have over the years demonstrated a strong passion for the game of football and top-grade infrastructure for sports scattered all over the country, with very impressive organizational acumen, which was showcased to the entire world in 2010 when the World Cup was hosted there, indicate most unfortunately South Africa's unpreparedness for the African Nations Cup, which is the continent's most prized football tournament, standing shoulder to shoulder with the World Cup as far as Africa is concerned. It would appear that South Africa has unwittingly, in their preparations for the Nations Cup tournament, relegated the competition to the background, as seen in the very poor standard of football pitches used for the tournament, a direct opposite of the world-class venues South Africa showcased to the world when they hosted the World in 2010. The very poor attendance of spectators at almost all these matches seen so far also points to the shoddy preparations by South Africa for the 2013 African Nations Cup, again compared to the massive crowd that we saw at all the 2010 World Cup matches. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, the apex body that governs football administration in the continent, cannot be absolved of any blame in failing to nip in the bud the issue of broadcast rights of the 2013 edition of the Nations Cup, which a small clique of people hijacked with a view to forcing Nigeria alone to cough out what more than 3/4 of the entire continent would have cumulatively paid for both public and private electronic media in Nigeria under the Bond umbrella to be allowed to broadcast the matches live to the over 167 million sport-loving Nigerians. We salute the courage and steadfastness of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BAN, and all its affiliate members, in the forefront of which were the likes of the chairman of BAN and DJ Voice of Nigeria, Alhaji Abubakar Jijiwa, and Chief Aleo Hodokwesi, the executive chairman, DAR Communications, owners of AIT and Raypower, in calling the bluff of these spoiled sports who would have reaped where they didn't sow a cobble. One should also salute the spirit of sport-loving Nigerians who have taken the entire episode in their strides. Above all, President Goodluck Jonathan should be hailed for bluntly refusing to fall for the cheap blackmail which those fraudsters intended to use as a bait to court the presidency to bankroll the entire expenses of beaming all the matches live, courtesy of the NTA, the federal government-owned electronic media organization. It is indeed a thing of joy and pride to note that in a matter like this that tried to test our national pride and integrity, that we all spoke loud and clear in one voice. However, the biased officiating the Super Eagles of Nigeria seem to be experiencing in the ongoing African Nations Cup in South Africa, with the unjustifiable red card issued to one of our players in the match against Burkina Faso, which led to the last-minute equalizer against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And of course, the most unpardonable and wicked gift of a penalty to Zambia in that crucial tie, which enabled the defending champions to even scores with the Super Eagles, putting them in a tight corner in their bid to advance to the quarterfinal stage as Burkina Faso surges ahead as leaders in Nigeria's group, with Nigeria and Zambia holding on to 2 points apiece. These are all pointers that some people are hell-bent on stopping Nigeria's move. This scenario looks to football analysts in Nigeria as an orchestrated plan to make Nigeria pay for what is described in some quarters as a country's stubborn and outright refusal to block the sale of the broadcast rights of the Nations Cup to some people in Nigeria at the most unreasonable offer. With the results of some of the matches decided so far at the ongoing African Nations Cup tournament in South Africa, where countries like Togo and Cote d'Ivoire, who are rated very far behind countries like Tunisia and Algeria, both in Africa and the world, have demonstrated their soccer supremacy over these North African countries, the criteria for the rating of teams by CAF and FIFA are called to serious question. And finally, on the performance so far of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, my personal opinion is that of cautious optimism. A team which Coach Stephen Keshi is building totally from the scratch, with equal opportunities given to both home and foreign-based players, have not done badly at all. We've all seen the team improving progressively since the first game. We hope and pray that the Super Eagles will win Ethiopia convincingly to qualify for the quarterfinal knockout stage, by which time they would have been able to perfect their acts a lot better than now and gradually bounce to reckoning to maybe bring back the Nations Cup, Africa's most prized and coveted trophy, which Nigeria last won in 1994. Incidentally, when Stephen Okechukwu Keshi, who's now Nigeria's national football coach, captained the Super Eagles alongside Daniel the Bull Omokachi, his assistant, in that most glorious year for Nigeria's football, when Nigeria was rated number 4 in the entire world, as against number 52 now. Nigerians cannot wait for such a glorious moment to return to our land. We can't wait to replicate it.